Alright, let's take a look at how much of a man the actor they chose to portray Superman is. So Henry Cavill, or Cavill, not sure how you say that. Immediately, it does look like we're seeing different eye sizes, which is often a result of hormonal abuse, so let's check and see if it looks the same in the other photos. Females taking testosterone, the lower portion of their face will extend somewhat. This length between the nose and the mouth does look male. It's consistent with the male length. It does have quite a long forehead as well. It does look like we've got some a brow ridge going on here. We've got a widow's peak. Intermediate-sized ears. The facial hair growth is looking quite possible. It does look like we've got quite full lips, and the width of the mouth isn't actually very wide. This face appears slightly broader than what I would expect on a female, but it doesn't look especially masculine. So there's a strong kind of facial structure here, but it also does appear to have a sort of softness to it. A bit younger, and it does seem like there are a lot of famous people with some kind of heterochromia as well in the eyes. Alright, so there is absolutely no slope to this forehead. It's a vertical forehead. It does appear to perhaps be one of those, some girls will have a forehead where it just kind of extends out past the rest of their face a little bit. So on an FTM, it would create the appearance of a brow ridge from some angles, but it really is just the forehead extending out. And that does appear to be the look we're seeing here. Looks like we've got pretty delicate female skin here. I'm not seeing any kind of pronounced, prominent cheekbones here. This one does seem to have a bit of a cleft chin, fairly strong chin. And a fairly strong jaw, but there is kind of a doughy softness all around here. Not a lot going on in the neck. The ear looks quite small here, actually. Giving off a very feminine vibe here. Again, the lower portion of the face does seem to be fairly consistent with male dimensions, but we're not seeing a lot of strong bone structure anywhere. There's a general kind of softness and smoothness all around on this person. Again, a strong facial structure, but no corresponding gauntness, which you typically see on males with this sort of structure. Males that are slim people, I should say. Alright, we've got really wide hips here. If you go to the widest part here where the hip bone meets the pelvis, take it up, it's the same as where we've got the shoulder bones up here. So I think this one's been on some steroids, building up this this very kind of beefy muscle look. It will increase the apparent width of the shoulders, but it's still we're left with these really wide hips. And a definite Q angle here, looking more consistent with a female Q angle than male. Doesn't look like we really have much of a neck here. You know, on men, when they build up the trapezius muscles, they'll still have a bit of a length of neck above that part. But on FTMs, you'll just have kind of this slope immediately from, well, the top of the neck, so you don't really have much of a neck. And again, with this mostly kind of vertical forehead, it does seem like the brow ridge has increased further here, so perhaps we've had some implanting, or perhaps testosterone has just continually grown a broader one. Having that dead lost FTM look here, and in a couple of these shots it does look like his left eye is continually smaller than the right eye, so that may be some evidence of the hormonal abuse. It's actually, with a guy with a forehead this long, I think I'd expect the chin to just be slightly longer, like the features all the way down to just be extended a little bit. I think it's that his nose perhaps isn't quite long enough as well. For a guy who seems like he's supposed to be really masculine, really like strong and everything, I would expect to see something more, but here we're just looking like we've got kind of a female neck with stubble. So, you know, taking testosterone will also cause body hair growth, and depending on the ethnic origins of the female in question who's taking testosterone, different amounts of body hair growth may be seen. Since this one seemed to grow a lot of body hair, that would probably explain why it can grow more of a full beard as well. There's a very strange kind of curvy look here. Quite a curve to the abdomen here. Softness all around, but despite the softness, we've got some full tissue here, which is not looking male, not looking correct. Yeah, this one does have a lot of doughy softness in the face at a younger age. Alright, so this waist indentation is definitely not male. This rear is definitely not male, so from this high point, you can tell from the highlight here as well that the indent does come in as well. It's just that it's got some weight and also muscle built up at the front, so you can't see it as well on this side, but the waist indentation does come in here a ways. It's at the back behind the built up flesh, and corresponds with this side. And then on both sides, the body flares out after that point, and you've got these wide hips that continue all the way down, expanding into the hourglass figure. Spine curves in, curves back out, the lower back. This is definitely a female skeleton. This one's pumped up on steroids, but can't change the bone structure, and the bone structure says it's a girl. Does look like we've got pretty short arms here too. Now on some of these people, people will look at them and say their arms are short just if they've got muscle on the arms, so it's not always accurate. So you have to actually look at how long it is in comparison to the body. You can't just arbitrarily say, oh, it looks short, because, you know, people with more flesh on the arms will look shorter just because the width has increased. But this person actually legitimately does have short arms. Looking like we've got quite a lot of soft curve in the thighs. Yeah, that navel is definitely below the point where we would have that female waist indentation. The sloping shoulders caused by the skeletal structure of a female, coming in straight from up there at the neck, no defined bone structure, weird, kind of hanging, rounded, too low and droopy chest tissue. Same here. I know this defined waist indentation. This one's really kind of beefed up with muscle, and then, you know, some body fat has filled out the essential female curves, but you're still seeing that the skeletal structure is of female dimensions. These arms are angled out and they're also bent, so it's hard to measure the actual length against the body, but in these shots. But again here, you're seeing too much curve in the back. Look at that curve from too high. This one has managed to get a bulkier look thanks to the steroids, but these are looking like pretty rounded, undefined female knees. And why are these? No, I mean, I guess he's skipping leg day. What's with these delicate little legs here? Tiny ankles. Again, the weird tissue. It even looks weird when it's held tightly by the built-up steroid muscle, which he's got here and didn't have in the previous photos. But again, like I've mentioned before, sometimes on the FTMs they'll just have this kind of like stringy, ridged, lumpy appearance along the collarbones. It just looks very very strange. He really built up the deltoids as well to try and, that's an FTM trick to try and make the shoulders look broader. Again, that back, this female back curve, that is definitely female. Those legs look very female to me too. And this is not an Adonis belt, this is just some kind of a lump where I guess we're seeing some flesh or muscle, some like fat and muscle over the hip bones. Not actually seeing an Adonis belt on here. This person does have quite a level of subcutaneous body fat like a female, despite having the steroid muscle, and, you're not seeing, you're seeing too much female curve. These clear female hips that are really high above the navel. And again, in every shot, this chest looks very, very strange. And yeah, this one, his back is always showing the, you could find quite a few pictures of this one having the strange curve to his lower back. Typically thin males won't maintain much of a level of fat in the face, but someone who's, of a generally kind of healthy average size, typically males will have a fairly bony, kind of sharp defined face compared to a female of average size who will have this kind of softness around the face. I mean, obviously, it's kind of retracting his head backward onto his neck. So like this look you wouldn't have constantly, but it does show that there is a lot of softness and fat maintained in this region, because there's some available to create this kind of look when pulling that kind of pose. There is that slight brow ridge, but there are regions in the world where women have brow ridges, and testosterone use can grow it, so I can't rely on that as something that's making him male. Wow, just that female energy. That is essentially female energy. Again, kind of broad structure. They do seem to have a number of FTMs with this kind of structure, because it really confuses people. But the main thing is, as I've said, a guy of an average or thin size with a low level of body fat, if he has this kind of strong facial structure, there will be sharpness to it, there will be gauntness to it that you just will not see on a girl. I find there's a pretty clear difference between male faces and female faces, even if you've got a strong structure on a female. Now we can check out if the crotch level reaches the wrist or the palm, and wow, we definitely got short lady arms here, because his arms should be much longer, so that the wrist bone is here, matching up to the crotch level. That's how male arms should be in general. I mean, there's some variation from individual to individual, but not this much. These are female arm length. And we've got the clear hourglass figure going on here. As mentioned, he really builds up the deltoids to increase the width of his shoulders. Also, on some of these FTM types, when they build up the lats, then it does seem to kind of increase the angle of their arms out. So it also makes it look like they've got broader shoulders overall, because their arms angle out even more than a typical female. We can't lay them flat against the sides. And, he's not... The trapezius muscles aren't quite as built up in this shot, and he's tilting the head back, so it does look like we've got a bit more of a neck, but that's consistent with a female neck length, and it just disappears when he builds the muscles up more. It is looking pretty thick, but testosterone will cause a lot of changes in a female's appearance, including it typically seems to kind of thicken the neck and give some definition to the trachea and the Adam's apple, though we're not really seeing much of that here. Just quite a kind of elegant female slope to the arms and curve here. Hands actually don't look that large either. And on these FTMs, they won't have as much female flesh on the hips as a female will. So you might think, the shoulders still look broader than the hips, but if you look at where the bones are, yeah, the bones match up. And if you imagine if this one had a little more female flesh over here, that would just kind of take what's up here and put it down here, and yeah, it's definitely a girl. I mean, look at that Q angle. That female posterior, the curve up here, soft fat distribution everywhere. Yeah, it can grow a beard, but it's not a man. And just such a thickness around the hips and lower torso. And it's got that super veiny steroid FTM look. Built up men will have more of a veiny look, but sometimes the FTMs just seem to go overboard with it. And this is looking really weird to me. It's like because I don't think I usually see the male Adam's apple looking like it's got like the Triforce symbol, like three little lumps. Maybe I'm just seeing that wrong, but that looks really weird. And yeah, cleft chins are more common on males than females, but females do also have them, and they typically look kind of softer on females, whereas it's like more of a deep, entrenched, defined look on males, and it seems to be more like you see it in the bone, but in women it's kind of more like a dimple, like an indentation in the flesh of the chin, because there's extra fat on the face as well. Yeah, again, those structurally sloping shoulders, not just from built-up muscles, but because the shoulders are lower and the whole body slopes like that. Yeah, those curvy hips. Again, with the female energy. So many famous people look alike. Like, to me right here, he's looking like a cross between Luke Evans and Hugh Jackman. But, Though, please don't take that idea and run with it, because I'm not saying that they're his parents, I'm just, saying there's a similar look. Doesn't this look weirdly kind of wispy? I don't know. It's pretty full in some regions, but there's still quite a bit of sparseness here and here. It's very strange looking to me. If anyone knows someone with a beard, or if they have a beard, I'd love to hear comments on if you think this beard also looks kind of abnormal to what a typical male's beard actually looks like. Now, it does look like we could fit 3 head widths on these shoulders, but I think this is one of those really tall FTMs, thanks to being from genetic stock that gets really tall, and also from human growth hormones. And as I've mentioned before, even women with a tall frame, if they're, I don't know how tall this guy is, he looks like he's maybe 6 foot or above. So yeah, if a woman's that tall, she's going to have broader shoulders too, just because the whole body has to be a larger size to be in proportion at a taller height. So, it's not surprising that you're going to see that someone of this height can manage those many head widths. But, what is surprising is that we've got such wide hips on a man. Why are they so wide? Why is there this defined hourglass figure? Oh, because it's not a man. Okay. And again, that doughy, soft, girly look. Really full upper lip as well as lower lip, which is more common on females. Typically males will have a less full upper lip. And again, the weirdly round, droopy chest. It's too much of a kind of sagging teardrop shape compared to how male chests should be squared across. He's not heavy enough to be having that kind of development as just a man, I think. So, and again, the waist indentations, and more importantly than the waist indentations, is the continual increase of the hips after that point. Never seeing an Adonis belt on this guy. And, softness all around, short arms, the delicate wrists. Again, the hands do look pretty small here. And pumped up on the steroids. But still, why is this chest tissue so gathered in this part right here, kind of like rounded and droopy in a very non-male way. Again, the arms are too short. This one looks like, I must have had some kind of post-production work done to it. This must be from a film, I guess, so it is likely to have had a lot of work done to it then. Maybe we're seeing the Adonis belt there. Could be fake, could be CGI, could be implanted, could be some kind of simple surgery where they just, cut some kind of incision. These arms are short enough to be comical. They're just really, really short arms. This photo is disguising the female body shape for the most part, but you can still see there's too much curve in the legs, and that the arms are far too short. Got some duality imagery here, which these people really love. Again, it's mostly vertical forehead. Did seem to grow a little bit more of a brow ridge when he got a little bit older, but it still just doesn't look like you'd expect it to look on a male. The thing is, on a male with a strong facial structure like this, you would expect to see more of a brow ridge. On some males from some countries with different genetic descent, you might not expect such a prominent brow ridge, but on someone like this who's got prominent cheekbones, a strong jaw, strong chin, even this kind of ridge to the nose, like all these features are very prominent, and actually the mouth looks quite wide too. But on someone with all these prominent features, you would expect this one to match on a male, but it doesn't. And there's, again, that just general softness all around, and nothing going on in the neck, as far as I can see. Yeah, again, the softness all around. It's looking like we've got a little bit more lumpy something in there. Again, the straight forehead, the widow's peak, and this really weird looking... that doesn't look like a male chest to me. Yeah, same things here. Got the strong facial structure, but it looks like it's a girl with a strong facial structure who's been taking testosterone to increase masculine traits, but still, a corresponding male with this kind of facial structure would be even more masculine. Just some of these traits just don't measure up. So yeah, going on the telltale FTM body with the waist, hips, Q angle, shoulders, everything of a female, right down to the energy. Superman is not a man, but a woman. So Henry Cavill is Supergirl.